Hi everyone. So yes, as Brenda was saying, I've been back in Canada for about 6 or 7 months now. So this is my first winter in 3 years. I have to say it's pretty good so far, so I'm not complaining. So I started May 1st. Before that, I was at U of A for 18 years actually. I did my bachelor's there and became a dietitian. So that's where my passion for nutrition comes from. And then I did a master's. It was a very clinical master's. And then I managed clinical research studies for 7 years. And during that time, I kind of became a little bit disillusioned. I felt like, okay, we're telling people what to eat. Why aren't they doing it? And couldn't really figure that out, I guess. Why, I'm a dietitian, nutrition's number one for me, and I could do it, but nobody else could. And kind of came to realize that we live in this environment that really does not favor healthy eating. We're surrounded by unhealthy foods wherever we go, and so I came to realize it was an environmental and a policy problem. So once I realized that, I decided I wanted to do a PhD, but I wanted to totally switch my focus. So I no longer wanted to do clinical nutrition. I wanted to look at policy and how can we use policy to improve the food environment and help people to eat more healthfully. So I did the PhD with Kim Rain and Linda McCarger at the U of A. Then after that, I was fortunate enough to get a fellowship to be able to move to Australia, to Gavin's homeland, for nearly 3 years. And there I was at Deakin University in Melbourne, working with Kylie Ball. And she focuses on socioeconomic inequities in dietary intake. So that really became a passion of mine, because what I realized is that most of the policies that actually influence diet lie outside the health sector, and socioeconomically disadvantaged groups really they're disadvantaged in terms of being able to actually benefit from many of those policies because they lack the resources and often the opportunities that the rest of us do. So through these experiences, kind of my interests evolved over time. So I would say I really focus on 3 areas. That's policy, diet, and inequities. So my program right now is about how can we use policy both inside and outside of the health sector to reduce socioeconomic inequities in dietary intake and ultimately in health, of course. So this research really matters to me because I believe that the health of more advantaged people, the health that is attained by the more advantaged people in society should be the health standard that everybody is able to achieve. So now I'll just tell you about a few other things about me briefly. So I have to admit I was pretty scared to come back to Canada. I really loved Australia. The best part every year was when I was imagining everybody back here freezing their butt off all winter, and it was plus 40 in Melbourne. Yes, exactly. It was pretty wonderful. And it really did become home to me. Then when I thought of coming back to Canada, like I said, that was pretty scary, but as an Edmontonian, it was even scarier of thinking of moving to Calgary. Because, like all good Edmontonians, I grew up believing that the worst thing that could happen in life would be to move to Calgary. So I thought I'd tell you the 3 most important things I have learned since moving to Calgary and arriving at U of C as well. First, to put it very bluntly, I learned that Calgary doesn't suck. Calgary is actually pretty okay. And I found you actually have a great university, and it's not just a tiny little college, which I think actually in Edmonton is kind of our perception. It's sort of like Toronto. We think we're the center of the universe in Alberta, in a sense. And the secret is actually that I really actually love it here. I love it more than Australia, and definitely I have to say I love it more than Edmonton. Like I said, that's the secret. It's really become home to me, and I really love the university and the city as well. So the second thing I've learned is more about technology and work. So when I was a master's student and a research manager, I've always been a type A person. So I would get all my work done every day. I would leave every day with an empty email inbox. And I could never understand why faculty members would take weeks and weeks to reply to emails if they replied at all. Now that I'm a faculty member, I understand. I really do. I definitely will never have an empty email inbox again. So the third thing I've learned is what makes a department a great place to work, and it's really about the people. So I think it really starts with the leadership. We all have heard various principles of leadership, but I think that leadership comes down to serving those you lead. And I've really seen that exemplified in this department, starting with Brenda in particular. If any of you remember what it's like to start out as a faculty member, it's pretty awful. You feel pretty unsure about yourself basically all the time, and you wonder if you actually have what it takes to make it. And Brenda has just been so reassuring and encouraging, and just has always made me feel like, yes, I can do this. And that has really helped a lot. Bill is another leader who's just probably the busiest person in the world, but he's just done some key small little things that have just really helped to give me a leg up in terms of getting my research going. Huda Kwan is somebody who's really championed me and tried to talk to others about me that I've really appreciated. And Melanie Rock, who's my mentor, probably for the first month, she checked in basically every day. And she was never afraid to tell me what she thought. I remember the very first day I arrived, she walked into my office and said, "Hi, you don't know Lynn McIntyre's research well enough. You better start reading her papers." That was literally our first conversation. And I went away and did it, and she was right. And I appreciate her for being able to tell me what I needed to hear. And then in terms of my colleagues, some people have just gone the extra mile for me. People like Gavin and Tolu, who have read my grants over and over and over again and sent me their CVs sometimes weekly so that I could apply for yet another grant. Rebecca Hainsaw, she's been fantastic. She has the office next to me. I just walk over and tell her all my problems and ask for advice. Same with Lindsay McLaren, has been fantastic with teaching, as well as Fabiola and Elizabeth. When I've had problems with teaching, I just walk over to Fabiola's office and ask her, and she seems to know everything about teaching. And then the support staff has also been fantastic. My admin assistant is Lydia, and for the first weeks, she just would come and see me every day and help me. So it really just kind of shows how a team is really so key. No single person did everything, but it was everybody working together who have really helped to make this such a great experience for me. And hopefully I'll be standing up here in 10 years and I'll be a successful researcher. So I'm really interested in getting to know everybody. When I first got here, I tried to go for coffee with different people weekly, and that kind of got derailed as I've been teaching this past term, but I hope to start that again in the new year. So I'd love to meet with anybody, so please feel free to send me an email and we can meet up. And thanks very much.